Hi, this is Prayers, and today we will talk on how to find your A game and to focus on the poker table. I at least guess that this is a topic because we will again watch a video from Phil Galfond, but as always, I will give you my thoughts in the beginning onto this topic. It essentially boils down to this. If you are like in a bad state of mind and also in a very good enthusiastic state of mind, you probably should not play. At best is when you are like in a neutral state and neutral with your feelings, because then you will make the best decisions and will not be getting wrecked by your emotions. I mean, if you are very happy, you might be too euphoric and too optimistic and therefore call too much and assume that your opponent is bluffing and might think that your hand is actually better than it actually is. And if you are in a bad state of mind, you will tilt sooner, you will make better decisions in general. And if something is on your mind, for example, like whatever, a breakup with your girlfriend or anything, then obviously it does not make a lot of sense to play, because then your thoughts are somewhere else and you will not able to focus very well. And it's also unavoidable that you will not always find your A game. And I think what is also very important is to take regular breaks. I mean, if I play a session and I try to be very focused, laser sharp and all this stuff, you cannot keep this kind of attention for a very long time. At least I can't. I mean, it could be even faster, but after like 3 or maybe sometimes 4 hours, I will be exhausted and I will have to take a break. I mean, this is only true if the tables are not extremely great, but you have to keep in mind then that you will not be on your A game anymore. But if there are huge whales, obviously you can't quit and your B game should still be enough. I don't do any of the meditation or mind coach stuff, and I also think it's not necessary. I think one of the most important character traits you need is that you should not get emotional, and you will learn it when time passes by, when you play a lot of poker, or you should, because if you are not, you will probably not make it, as tilt is very bad enemy of your money. And if you can't quit and play very bad once you are in a downswing, then you can't survive. So you have to either learn to deal with your emotions and don't get angry in the first place, or you need to have the mental skill to still, even if you are angry and mad, recognize that you are now not playing your best anymore and that you are just chasing losses and burning away money, and then you have to quit and probably also have to make a break. So that's my take on it. Let's see what Phil Galfond has to say. I hope that this is better than the last video where he was talking about completely different things than the title suggested. So let's get into it.
Imagine you're deep in a big tournament and you're playing the most important pot that you've played in months. You 3-bet with kings, the flop is 10-4 deuce, 2 hearts. You bet and get called. The turn is an offsuit king. You check, your opponent bets, and you check raise. What's going through your mind? It might be, please go all in, please go all in. It might be, okay, if he calls, I really don't want to see the 9 of hearts. I don't want to see the queen of hearts. I don't even want to see an offsuit queen. I just want to be sure that I win this pot. I have the nuts right now. This is a huge pot. It's super important. Please let me win it. That line of thinking is hurting you. It's hurting you emotionally, and it's also getting in the way of you thinking as clearly as you can throughout the hand. That mental...
you're going back to the hand. Your main focus should not be to protect your hand as hard as possible. For example, if you don't want any card to come and protect your hand maximum, you could not even go for the check raise, because now there's a danger that your opponent checks behind. You give him a free card. You could just go all in. I mean, even if it's like 10 times support or something. But that's obviously not optimal. What you want to do in every single hand is to maximize your EV, basically. And this could also mean that you give your opponent a free card sometimes, even if he sucks out a certain percentage of time. If this is EV maximizing, then you should do it.
So bandwidth could be used for thinking about strategy, how to play the hand better. Today I want to talk about what I believe is the single most important mindset shift that you can make to improve your performance at the poker table. This line of thinking can come up when you're really hoping a card doesn't hit. It can come up when you're hoping your opponent folds, or you're hoping your opponent checks, or maybe you're hoping they raise, like I talked about. I'd categorize them as hope, fear, and regret. So hoping that your opponent raises, hoping your opponent checks back, fearing a certain turn card, fearing a certain river card, fearing a bet from your opponent. And then regret is always backwards looking, thinking about the call that you just made 5 hands ago that cost you a lot of chips, thinking about the call you just made in this hand on the previous street that you think you shouldn't have, or thinking about the fact.
Yeah, you should not feel any regret, because this is in the past. You can't change this anymore. And this should not affect your ability to make good decisions now. What is in the past is in the past. I mean, this is not 100% true, because some things that are in the past might influence how you play later. Because if you just blew off and lost a lot of money, people might assume that you play different now. You have to keep this in mind. But other than that, you should not be affected by money you lost in the past or money you won in the past.
That, you check back the turn with a good hand, and now the river's brought a bunch of draws, and you think, I just wish I made him fold the turn. I shouldn't have slow played. All of these thoughts wear on you. The 2 ways that this is impactful, first of all, emotionally. If you're thinking these things and feeling these things as you play a session, you're going to be more drained at the end of the day. You're going to be more emotional as you play, which is going to lead you to play worse. And you're really going to enjoy your experience playing less. You're going to enjoy your career or your hobby less, because it's going to be emotionally painful in a lot of ways, stressful and painful. The second way that this causes problems is all of that energy and time that you're dedicating to hoping or fear.
Yeah, this is basically a waste of energy and focus if you live in the past. You have to, on the poker table, you have to be in the moment and just think about the stuff you have to decide right now, and don't feel regret or anything about things that happened 2, 3, 10 hands ago. This is holding you back.
Fearing or regretting. You could be thinking about strategy. You could be thinking while your opponent's deciding whether he's going to, shove all in, fold or call, when you check raise the tournament top set. Instead of hoping that he shoves, instead of fearing an unfortunate river, you could be thinking, okay, well, if he shoves, I know I call, I have the nuts. If he calls and the river is an offsuit 10, is it going to be better to jam, or should I check and let him, bet all of his trips anyways? And
yeah, in general, it's good to come up with a plan ahead of time. That's what he's talking about. I mean, yeah, so you should not be surprised and then have to go in the tank. At best, when you make a decision, you should have the whole game tree in mind, so that you know, okay, if he does this, I do that. And if he does this happens next. And also for every run out and stuff. So yeah, plan ahead. That's also really important in poker. But yeah, it has nothing to do with Zen or finding your A. I mean, it has to do with finding your A game. This is basically the A game you want to be at. Always have a plan.
And bluff his missed draws. You could be planning ahead and thinking about what you're going to do with your next action. Even if you're not planning ahead and thinking about each individual river card, what you're going to do, because there are so many, you could be thinking about making reads on your opponent. You could think, okay, well, what I know about him pre-flop means that his range is going to be kind of strong here. He's not the type to float flop with like queen jack and a backdoor flush draws, or so he's not going to have hands like that as much. I think his range is this. I think that once if he calls here, he's probably going to have whatever it is, 2-pair plus. I don't know. It's not going to be 2-pair plus, but he's probably going to be, really draw heavy. You could be thinking about putting your opponent on a hand, putting your opponent on a range. You could also be thinking about, what does my range look like? What does my opponent know about me? There's so many things that you could think during a poker hand that it's just impossible to consider them all in the time that we have while we're playing. It's even more.
Yeah, it's easier when you're playing in a live game, because there you have a lot more time. But yeah, on online poker, on online tables, you usually just have a couple of seconds. And if you play more tables than just one, this time even goes down further. And it's just, if you play online a lot of tables, you just have to do a lot of things on autopilot. And make decisions when it's really important, that you have to think through for the big hands and stuff, or when a situation comes up that is very unspecial or something that you didn't expect it there. You have to put your thoughts in. And if you are just in the beginning of your poker journey, you have to learn all these things, and nothing will come automatically. But after some time and you learned, the things will repeat, and you will have the situation or a similar one, like 10 survived or played through 10, 20, 100 times already, and then this becomes more automatic. But sometimes it's also good to question if this automation you have in your mind is correct.
Possible when you're spending half your time hoping or fearing or regretting something. So here is what I believe.
Yeah, I think you should never fear anything, basically. So if something comes up that's really crappy, you just have to fold, for example, or shrug your shoulders and whatever, check, and hope that your opponent does not fire a huge bet.
Is the best way to conquer these emotions and fix.
Yeah, in general, emotions don't belong to the poker table. You should be as rational as possible and use your brain and your head mainly, and not your emotions.
Your thought process, so that you can perform at your very best at the poker table, so you have all that mental bandwidth. The way that I like to think about it is, every time that the action is on me throughout a poker hand, I have an opportunity to make the best decision that I possibly can. I have an opportunity to make the right decision, either against my opponent's range, or maybe I make a huge read to make the right.
Yeah, that's a good attitude. You should always focus on making the optimal play in the given hand. And that's it.
Right decision against his actual hand, or I just make the right decision in theory, whichever is appropriate for the spot. Every time the action's on you, you have a new opportunity to make the best decision you possibly can. And if that's what you're focused on, it doesn't matter what card comes on the river, because it's just a new opportunity to make the best decision you possibly can. And in the long run, your results are going to be what they should be.
Yeah, if you can make the optimal decision or close to it all the time, your graph will go like this. Okay, this didn't work like I wanted it to. So it will go straight up. I don't know, this way. It's the other way around because it's like mirrored. Sorry for that.
But in the short term, anything can happen in a hand, and focusing so much on what you want to happen in this particular hand is so detrimental to you. Let's say I'm in a pot. I have a pretty good hand, but a lot of my opponent's range is going to be draws. Not all of it. They'll have some, weak mid pair, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into the exact example because it doesn't matter. Instead of, once I bet the turn, I'm waiting for them to call, potentially. Instead of thinking, please don't bring the 9 of hearts on the river, whatever the case may be, I just think, okay, well, my next turn to act is either going to be if they raise now or if they call and one of these various rivers hit. If the draw completes, I actually know my hand's just a check fold. So actually, it's easy to make the best decision possible. I already know what to do. I just check fold. What should I do if the draw doesn't complete? Well, how often do I think they have mid-pair versus how often they have that draw. Are they going to bluff that draw one check to, et cetera, et cetera? Then I start thinking about strategy, what I want to do there. And I find it so freeing to, instead of worrying about the draw completing and losing the hand, actually think, oh, well, actually the draw completing river is the easiest river to play. And so I'm going to be really successful.
The only appropriate play when the draw completes and you check and he bets is no, obviously joking.
On a draw completing river of finding the right play. Similarly, like if you're bluffing on the turn in a huge pot, instead of thinking please fold, please fold, please fold, I get to think, okay, well, if they fold, the hand's over, no decision to make. If they raise, I have an easy decision, I fold. So let's stop hoping that they fold and start thinking about what we're going to do if they call on various rivers. If you can make this shift in your thought process, you can have such an easier time emotionally and an easier time thinking through your decisions on the fly.
Yeah, obviously. Don't let your emotions take over and don't just be like, fold. But yeah, think before you make the bet if it's profitable and the best line. And then it's out of your control. If you are like, or if you just relax and think what's next, it's the same. Basically, it's way easier to just focus on the next steps you will take than to be like fearing or pushing your thumbs hoping that the hoped thing will happen. I mean, if you bluff, it's maybe 50-50 if he folds or not. And it's then just, yeah, is he on the weak part of his range or not? And you cannot influence it anymore. Maybe if it's live poker, try to be as emotionless and look in a way that he can get the least information possible. But if you, in reality, try to hold down emotions and you are just like, please fold, please fold, please fold, he's probably even more likely to read something into you. While if you are just thinking about the next steps, if he calls, what happens on different cards, I guess you are harder to read, but that's just a theory.
Focusing on really this one thing has helped me so much throughout my career, and I still need to remind myself of it. I don't do it every time. I still find myself being human, hoping for a certain thing to happen, fearing a certain thing happening.
What is really, it's really easy on online poker when you have like just 8 tables and you click blop, 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 blop. Then you're not even looking at the table anymore. So you are not having strong emotions and just hoping for something to happen. You are just going from table to table. And then when it's up to you next time, then you just go back to the table and don't have time for this bullshit. And sometimes you are even like, oh, okay, I bet the river, or I go all in on the river. I expect, if he calls, I expect to win the hand always. And then you next time look at the table, you are like, what? Why am I broke? He had me beat? That's very unexpected.
Regretting a recent hand. But whenever I can remind myself of this, and I have, a sticky note of it, I calm my mind, I enjoy my sessions more, and I have my mental bandwidth working on what it should be working on. I hope you found that as helpful as I have found it in my career. And I will see you in the next video. Before you go, if you
like, subscribe, share, all the good things. Obviously, yeah, I think he's also just doing the outro. Also consider to check out my second channel called Finance with Excel if you are interested in money, investing, and all this stuff. So Finance with Excel it is. And yeah, that's it. Also talk about crypto a lot. Just made an insane new video where I compare what's the economically best decision of if you should buy or rent a house. So much work and research went into it, so highly recommended. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye until next time, and good luck at the tables.